Hey y'all, hey, welcome to another episode of the Just Life and Podcast. I am your co-host Kina and I'm here with Sai.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Well, let's do a vibe check because a lot has been going on. What have you
Yeah.
been up to lately?
I will keep mine short and sweet. I feel like not too much. Definitely been tapping in with some friends, doing some dinners and just enjoying that. The weather is changing here. It's starting to get cold. I don't like it. I'm not a winter person. Today was like in the 60s, but it was like so windy. Hold on to your hair, everything. Wig can go flying off at any time. It was just a lot of wig or wind outside. It was
Yeah.
crazy. Uh, I was gonna say a lot of wigs outside. It was a lot of wind outside, sorry, but so I feel like just that did some self-care this weekend in preparation for a trip. So you know how that goes for us ladies, lashes,
Hmm.
brows, waxing, nails, and just everything else that we need to do in preparation, when we travel. So other than that, kids are good. You know how I say they good, they're annoying, but they're good. We thank God. My husband is good, no complaints on that end. So overall we chilling, we chilling.
Good.
But I
Yeah.
know it's been busy for you. Obviously, y'all know
Child.
we did take a little, I don't want to say hiatus because that's not accurate, but we did take like a short interim,
Hmm.
but we're back. But I know, like I said, it was very busy for you. So, yes, let's hear it.
Yeah. So for those who didn't hear part of the story of what's been going on, so I
Mhm.
moved. You guys know I have been talking about this move and the packing and getting that all together. Had a successful move. Then I had to fly home to Virginia 3 days later. So I left all of my things in boxes. I flew home because my mom was sick, had to have a surgery, and there were just so many things that needed to be handled just with her medical affairs and her like regular life affairs.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna book this flight 3 weeks, away from my arrival. Hopefully I can be there for 2 weeks. Ended up staying 4, so I was there for an entire
Mhm.
month, came back home, was settled for maybe, like, a week or so, whatever, then my birthday, was this weekend, so
Yes.
it was like I've been running from one thing from next, from, you know, being super busy, super stressed out,
Mhm.
take care of my mom stuff, came home, finally into my new place and tried to, like, unpack a little bit, but then also getting ready for my birthday, like you said, like, hair, nails, threading, waxing, all
Mhm.
the things.
Mhm.
But I had an amazing birthday weekend, like, my boyfriend really showed out.
Love it. Love it.
The theme was grown and sexy. We stayed at the Four Seasons. We had fine dining all weekend.
Mhm.
We had spa treatments. We had live music. We had all
Okay.
the things, flowers, balloons, desserts, pampering.
Well deserved too. Well deserved.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it was great. So I'm just trying to get back to regular life. And my birthday
Yeah.
weekend was, my grand entrance into regular life, because so much has been going on. So yeah.
I will say real quick, it's crazy because I definitely feel like we are in the age group where for some it comes with caring for your parents now because they're
Hmm.
getting into those older ages and obviously depending on health of your parents, will also determine how hands-on you are or aren't, right? So it's
Yeah.
just very interesting because like obviously with you and just hearing from other people how they've had to step up in their parents' care, just
Hmm.
even overall affairs. Like, hey, did you get a will? Did you have insurance, life insurance?
Yeah.
I need to know all your doctors. I need to know, just different things. So it's
Yeah.
just interesting how, like, like I said, our age group is just transitioning into that. But I'm glad your mom is doing well, though. I will say that I'm glad everything was successful
Thank
and
you.
she is doing well. And
Yeah.
as far as like the move, if y'all didn't see on Instagram, Kina was outside showing out, looking stunning for her birthday. Absolutely beautiful. Boyfriend
Thank
did
you.
his big one. Shout out to him for really like coming through at the tail end of something that was just very stressful for you. So I'm so glad
Yeah.
that you were able to just really you be like, how can I say, just tap in with you and
Hmm.
some self-care with you and not have to, and I say this with air quotes, not worry about anyone else, that you was just really able to be present with you and enjoy your
Yeah.
man's company and all the good things. I'm very happy about that too. So happy birthday again for sure.
Thank you,
Y'all
thank
make sure
you.
you give Kita a birthday shout out.
Ba, 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 ba.
Yeah, but all
So
good things. Uh-huh, go ahead.
oh, no, I was gonna get into this rundown situation, we got a few things to talk about.
Keep us updated, girl. What's going on?
Mhm. So, the Dems do what the Dems do, and that is always cave
Mhm.
to the Republicans and their nasty little whims. So the
Mm.
Dems went ahead and caved, honey, and
Mhm.
in doing so, ended the longest government shutdown in US history, which was 43 days.
Yeah,
It's I considered it a bittersweet thing. It was bitter
right.
because the Democrats caved, but it was sweet
Mhm.
in the fact that, so many people had been struggling because they had been out of work for over a month with no
Correct.
pay.
Yeah. Yeah,
People have children, people have bills, people have lives that they need to attend to, and it was getting very difficult.
absolutely.
So, bittersweet in that regard. But supposedly there's going to be a vote in December on this tax credit for health coverage. So basically, there was a shutdown because they were in a gridiron fisticuffs thing over a healthcare tax credit. And
Mm,
so the Republicans refused to add this tax credit and it caused a thing. And now they're going to supposedly vote in December on this. I don't have any, what do you call it, positive expectations, but we'll
mm.
see what happens in December. For now, everybody is working
Yeah,
and getting paid
agreed.
to do so.
Exactly, the main thing, right?
Right, the
Yeah, for
main
sure.
thing.
For
The
sure.
Epstein emails finally dropped.
Mhm. Mm.
And in one of those emails, because there's some juicy little tidbits being pulled out, in one of those emails, Epstein described Trump as borderline insane. I would say take out the borderline.
Mhm.
Let's just
Mhm.
go full on insane.
Mhm. Mhm.
But as we already knew, we knew Trump was involved and associated with Epstein. We know he had some dealings. We know there were underage girls involved in all this whole situation.
Correct.
But I will say one surprising thing that I've been seeing floating around on socials is
Mhm.
this email between Epstein and his brother. And his brother is asking Epstein
Mhm.
if Putin, Russia's president,
Mhm.
had video footage of Trump allegedly engaged in some nasty sexual dealings with former President Bill Clinton.
Disgusting.
My mouth on the floor, lips dropped. That to
Dis
me was like, uh,
disgusting. Mm-mm.
disgusting, weird, and totally unexpected.
Hmm.
Well, I'm
Hmm.
interested to see what else comes out of it. We already know Trump is all up and through them files, honey, but I'm ready for some more tea on it, though. I honestly am.
Yeah, no, I feel like those people within that world, those white men of a certain tax bracket, they're into all that funny stuff. So I feel like I don't put anything past any of them.
Hmm.
I think everything is
Mhm.
true
Yeah.
without knowing anything. I feel like everything is true, but like you said, we shall see.
The comedy shows are gonna have a good one with that one. I can just
Oh,
see a Saturday
yeah.
Night Live skit just brewing.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm sure.
Tory Lanez. So Tory Lanez was the singer, was sentenced to 10 years in prison for allegedly shooting Megan Thee Stallion, and he appealed that 10-year sentence and lost. So it's looked like he's going to be serving that full sentence. But having said that, he's already
Mhm.
served 2 years. He was sentenced in August of 2023, and we're already past that time. He served more than 2 years
Mhm.
of that sentencing. I mean, time flies. So hopefully for him, or prayerfully for him, maybe it
Mhm.
will go fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like you said, time does go by fast, but I always say that's us speaking from the outside. I'm sure for
Mm.
them, it probably
Yeah.
feels long, and for him to have 8 additional years, yeah, God bless. I don't even know how old he's
Yeah.
gonna be. I don't know how old he is, but, yeah, God bless. His child is gonna be grown, though, I do know that.
Oof. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of prison time, Diddy, His release date has been pushed back. I mean, only a month though. He was supposed to be released
Mhm.
May 2028. It's been pushed back to June 2028 because he allegedly was in possession of some alcohol in prison. I don't know how
Mm-mm.
you getting a hold of alcohol, but you know, you can get a hold of many things. And if you are a man of means, I'm sure you can get a hold of many, many things.
Mhm, mhm.
He says that that wasn't true, but that's what they're saying. And then also, he made a prohibited three-way call. According to him, he was talking to his attorney, and his attorney then added on the head of legal communications so they could go over this statement that was going out to the New York Times. That's what he said happened. They don't care. They added an
Mhm.
extra month onto his sentence. So hopefully he will continue to behave post
Mhm.
now and
Mhm.
doesn't get any more time because, like you said, he's also a man who has, you know, children. He has a particularly young child. I think what is his youngest child? Like 2, 1, 2, something, 3, something like that?
No, I think she's about to go to kindergarten or something. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating, but, she's definitely not 1 or 2, though. I think she might be, like, 4 or something like that,
Oh,
because I feel
okay.
like I saw images at one point in time, like, she was going to school or something like that.
Oh, well, child, anyway, she's gonna be young and, you know, we no, because when we talked about this before, I remember saying, "Oh,
Mhm.
he'll be out in time for her to go to kindergarten." So,
Okay, okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
okay.
she's more still on the younger side. But either
But
way.
Diddy's been locked up for, like, what, 2 years now too? Or how long? A year?
Mhm. I don't know. That's a good question.
Because they already wrote off, like, I thought, like, a year off of his sentence already or something like that.
Oh,
But so he's been gone for a little bit of while too. Yeah, but anyways,
let the time fly.
he's still that's an keep your head down, Diddy, like, act like you know.
Mhm.
This
Mhm.
should be easy peasy for you. Once again, I'm speaking as a free woman, but put the phones down, and I know I read the thing about the alcohol, they said it was pooch, so that's like the alcohol that they make in jail or whatever.
Was pooch was that prison hooch? Pooch?
Yes. Mhm. Exactly. So, and he's supposed to be in a drug rehab program, substance abuse program, whatever it is. You're
Uh,
not supposed to be drinking no pooch. You gotta sit down and do the rehab. You wanna come home and be free? Like, hello? Some people God, either God bless him too. God bless him too,
Child,
that's all I can say. He gotta do
that
better
part.
too. Mhm.
Lastly, Cardi
Yes.
B, uh, she gave birth to a baby boy this month.
Okay.
But you know the specifics of when exactly and what his name is, all of that is under wraps. That's not been released. And I don't know
Mm.
if we would even have known that she gave birth if not for the fact that somebody recorded her in the gym with her stomach looking not so pregnant.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know. This seems it's sort of different from how she's moved with her past pregnancies. Like I feel like
Mhm.
she's usually pretty open, you know, about her pregnancies.
Mhm.
This one she didn't really reveal. It was kind of be pulled out of her, and then you know she's usually pretty open about when she delivers and what the children's names are and things like that. She's moving totally different with this one for some reason.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that. The only thoughts that I have that possibly can be contributing to that is that I feel like there's a lot of talk around this pregnancy and not so positive, right?
Mm,
Because she is technically still married, and then she's, having a child with, somebody else. And then also this is a different man. So maybe he's private. That's the only thing else I can think of because we all know that he has several women pregnant and several women that have delivered his child, but he hasn't said anything about anybody. So I'm like,
mhm,
maybe he just is private. So like she's kind of moving how like he would prefer to move as opposed to maybe how Offset was. I don't know. But
mm,
yeah,
well,
but I do agree with you. I feel like if the person whoever recorded her in the gym, I feel like if that didn't come out via TMZ, I wonder if we would have even known that she delivered until she was ready to reveal it. I should say that. Like let
yeah,
her say it on her time. Yeah,
right, right.
but who knows? But congrats to Cardi though.
Yes, congrats, congrats.
All right, people. So we're going to get into our topic for this episode entitled Ain't No Gentle Parenting. For the parents or people who even maybe play the role as parents, it's an interesting topic because I feel like gentle parenting is like a relatively new word that people tried to, embrace, and how we discipline children in this day and age. I don't know. I will start out by saying I don't wanna be my child's friend until they are, like, of a certain age, meaning, like, probably, like, adulthood. I'm not
Mhm.
here for that. I need them to understand that I'm their parent. I'm here to protect them, teach them how to be productive members of a society as they do grow into adulthood, you know? I don't want my child to be, like, completely in fear of me, but have
Mhm.
a healthy level of respect of fear for me, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think you should be flinching every time, like, I come around, but
Right.
at least, like, if you were going to do something that I wouldn't deem as appropriate, that you would think twice. Like, what would my
Mhm.
mother or father say? So that type of fear, which I guess just ultimately comes down to respect. You know what I mean? Respect me like the same way you should be respecting yourself, basically. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Obviously, I know you don't have kids, but just what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, what is considered gentle parenting? It's a new term, but what does that mean?
You know what? I feel like the term is very ambiguous. It is really up for interpretation based upon that respective household and parent. Because some people deem gentle parenting as speaking to your child like Miss Rachel. Okay, we're not going to hit today. Okay, that type of thing. That's not me. I love Miss Rachel for other reasons, not because of the speech thing that she does, but that's not my style of parenting. I speak to my child like, this is what you're not going to do. I'm not going to baby down my voice and do all that. I'm not going to be trying to holler like a maniac either, right? But I'm going to talk to you. This is what you're not gonna do. I'm gonna try to get my point across. Some people look at it as like you just solely not putting hands on your child.
Mm.
So when it comes to discipline, you're solely just doing it from a conversation speaking standpoint. That's it. We don't do
Mm.
any type of physical anything. It's all, just speaking. So I do think that is very subjective.
Well, to answer your question,
Mhm.
I feel like I agree with you, not being a parent, but these are just my outside perspectives. I do agree with you that you need to wait to a certain point before you are trying to be your child's friend because you need to set certain boundaries.
Mhm.
I think, the issue with this friend parent situation, the boundaries get sticky and the child feels like they can try you or don't have to do certain things you ask them to do because you're friends and
Mhm.
kind of like looking at your parent as a peer. As weird as
Mhm.
it may sound,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think they definitely need to be grown
Yeah.
before we can develop a friendship. That's not to say, right, that you can't do cool things with your parent, you can't
Right.
have fun with them, you can't have, candid conversations with them, etc., but you still need to have respect that boundary.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I do feel like exactly what you said. It's kind of like we can't go, let's just say your child is like 18. You're the adult. Let's just say you're anywhere in your early 40s or something like that. We go to the club, we get in tables, we got bottles, we drunk. Now the next day you do something and I try to slap your face. Your child gonna be looking at you like, but wait a minute. We was just lit the night before. I just feel like when you do that, those boundaries are gonna be blurred. I just don't know how you separate it when your child is still, like, at an age when you're essentially still trying to raise them. Yes, they're 18, but to me, 18 is still a child, I'm sorry. So you're
Yeah.
still trying to guide them and raise them and protect them and so on and so forth, as opposed if they're more of an adult, which I consider more within, like, your mid-20s, let's just say, maybe hopefully in your career, you're doing your thing, so on and so forth, that you can look at it differently. I don't know if I would ever want to go to the club with my child, though, I'm not gonna hold you. Uh, I could see,
Agree with
like
that. Yeah, I
I could
agree.
see, like, a concert, let's just say, like, if
Mhm.
we cross years, like,
Mhm.
Khaled, for example, like, he likes both of my kids like music, but he likes Mariah Scientist, that Blue.
Mhm.
So, let's just say if he was an adult and he's like, "Oh my god, mommy, I used to love her when I was a child." And I'm like, "Okay, you wanna go to the concert?" Like, you know what I mean? Something like
Mhm.
that, but just, like, in a section with my child, talking about something what?
Yeah.
I don't know, that's just not me, it's not for me, it doesn't really fit my personality, and I don't need to see everything my child is doing outside when they in that
Right.
type of environment, I don't need to know. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? So, that I don't know.
Feel like our generation though is like our generation being we're over 40,
Mhm,
I'm 47,
mhm.
and so I come from a time where definitely the relationship between parent and child was different,
Yeah,
but our generation as parents, I think we're like in an unprecedented time in parenthood as far as being able to relate to our children and vice
mhm,
versa.
mhm.
Because although there may be a decent age gap, it's like you still have the same interest as your
Yeah,
child. You enjoy the same music. You like the same clothes. You like the
absolutely.
same, things on social media, etc. You're following the same pages and all that. So it's like we can relate so much more to our kids than our parents could to us. And so I
Mhm.
think that that's where those lines get blurred between parent and child because it's like, well, shoot, me and my mom can share clothes. Oh, me and my
Right.
dad, we like the same rappers, this, that, and the third, da 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 da. Da. But no, just because we
Yeah.
relate doesn't mean
Yeah,
that I'm
yeah.
your peer. I'm not your friend. And
Yes.
I just think that that just gets very sticky.
Agreed. And I just feel like, I mean, in these times with so much craziness going on in the world, like it's just, you really have to hold your children close, particularly,
Mm,
the younger children. If they're an adult, obviously, we hope that you did what you're supposed to do and your child is following, like, the straight line or whatever. But in these crazy times, they have so much access, whether it's technology, screen time, or just even their social circle to hear, experience, see a lot of things. It's just really, I
mm,
just really feel like you have to be locked in with your children more than
mm,
ever, just to make sure that they don't have outliers that are influencing, or to make sure that they're good. You hear so many stories about
hmm.
children harming themselves, you know what I mean? And the parents are like, "I didn't have any, I had no idea." Not to say that those
Yeah,
parents weren't locked in, because you just don't know what the child is presenting when they get home, but I just hope that
yeah.
I'm in tuned enough with my child, God forbid if they were going through something like that, that I would be able to be like, "Hmm," you know what I mean? Like, "What's going on here?" And then be able to, seek some outside help to rectify that situation. But yeah,
That's
do you
something that I
think
question, though.
Hmm? Go ahead, I'm
I
sorry.
was just gonna say that's something that I question, though, is like how
Mhm.
hands-on parents are today. Because as an
Mm,
outsider looking in, I don't have any children, right? So as
right.
an outsider looking in
Mhm.
to people's parenting in this day and age, I feel like it's so hands off. Like I feel like
Yeah.
they just let the kids be free, let them find themselves,
Yeah. Yeah.
or the parents are just being lazy or they're more interested in, living their life and doing their own
Yeah.
thing. And it's like, okay, well, after a certain age, you on your own, whatever, whatever. Like I just feel like it just seems as an outsider that it's so hands off. So how do you know what's going on with your child? How do you pick
Right.
up on something is wrong with them if you're not, engaging enough with your children
Correct.
on a daily basis?
I think that's a fair statement, excuse me, and I would definitely consider myself what they would call a helicopter parent, where you're just all over your child, so to speak. I guess that, what they say. I don't care.
Mhm,
Imma be that helicopter parent, but I also will give, like, proper boundaries as well, or proper grace, I should say, for my child to make
mhm,
mistakes and grow, and also, have the ability to self-correct, so to speak. But,
mhm,
for
mhm,
example, Khaled went to a birthday party, and it was, like, at one of those indoor playground type places or whatever, and I remember when we got there, the mom was like, "The kids are just playing around." It's a pretty decent sized place and everything like that. She was like, "I don't know if you're a helicopter parent, like, you wanna be here while he's playing, or you just wanna go into, like, the separate room and, like, sit down." "Oh, no, Imma be here with my child." Like,
mhm,
because
mhm.
it's not to say it was like a place where it was rented out and it was private to your respective party. There are other people there that you don't know. And when you go to these type of
Yeah.
places, there is no like security or they patting you
Mhm,
down. But even besides from a weapon standpoint, anybody can just walk in relative, you pay, you do your thing. Like, you know what I mean? It's not to say they looking like, "Oh, you got a child with you." Like, you know what I mean? And things like that. I
mhm.
do feel like that is a breathing ground for a lot of foolishness to occur. And it's not
Yeah.
even just with adults. There are some children who, harm other children. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
things like that. So I feel like for me, I give my child, like I said, a healthy space to like do his thing where he don't feel like I'm hovering. But no, I'm eyes are wide open, like I'm looking like what's going on and everything like that. Because like I said, it's an open area. They running across the room, bop, 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 going through all these tubes and everything like that. Anybody can come and collect your child, or they be up in these slide things, and God forbid somebody, do something to them or whatever, whatever, and
Mhm.
things like that. So I am the
Yeah. It's a
helicopter
lot
parent,
that can
like I've
happen.
said. It's a lot of things that happen. I just feel like you need to be aware. You need to be aware because, like I said, it is my job to protect my child. It is my job to teach my child to hopefully have good discernment. You know what I mean? So he and both of them can go out into the world and make proper decisions and, be able to thrive as an adult. But while they're at these toddler ages, no, I'm all over it because it's a vulnerable population, it's a vulnerable age, however you slice it, I don't care. But
Yeah.
but no judgment on anybody's parenting because there are some people that give more free reign, no judgment. That's just not our style personally.
Right.
But yeah, but I was gonna ask you, what do you think about like the term home training? Do you feel like home training is like the end all? Because I say that to say, just because you give the child home training, I always say doesn't mean they're gonna take it. And
Mhm.
you can have multiple children in the home, and you have the one that is doing all the things that they are supposed to do, and then you have the other that is not. And you just be looking like, okay,
Mhm.
you were raised in the same house, you have the same
Yeah.
parent, but however you slice it, if you talk to those two children or however many children, their experiences can be completely different. And I think it's just
Mhm.
very interesting. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, that is interesting. Cause for my first thought when I see somebody who act like they don't have no sense,
Mhm.
you speak to somebody, we have talked about I cannot stand when I
Mhm.
go somewhere and I say hello to you and you're a service provider in some way, shape, or form, and I say hi, and then you look at me and you don't say anything. Then I'm looking at you like
Yeah.
you ain't got no home training, like you wasn't
Mhm.
taught well.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
always think that everything is due to lack of home training. But
Right.
you have a valid point that that's not necessarily the case. That's
Mhm.
what I default to, but that's not necessarily the case. I think
Right.
that it is possible that you can do all the things, right? And your kid, for whatever reasons,
Right.
is going to stray from that, whether it's their environment, their friends, just some biological whatevers that they just don't take to it. But I think that you have still instilled in the child those
Mhm.
things. They were taught those things, they absorbed those things. And so whether or not they're displaying them during this time period of their life, hopefully they
Yes.
can get to a place in the future where they can fall back on the things that they were taught in their young
Absolutely.
years, that home training.
Absolutely. I will use myself as example. My brother listens to this podcast, so don't kill me, but I'm gonna put your business out there. So obviously, we have the same parents raised in the same household. And my brother gave my parents hell, like growing up. He did all the things. And you would think like, "Huh?" You know what I mean? Because you have me,
Mhm,
good child. No, I say that laughing. Like, you know what I mean? On paper for what it's worth. I didn't do much. Like I wasn't that type of
mhm,
child. You know what I mean? But he did a lot in his youth. He definitely did a lot. He challenged, he pushed excuse me, pushed the barriers, the boundaries, everything. He definitely challenged my parents a lot. But now him as an adult, being in his mid 4, he's 45 now. Is he 45? 45, 46. I'm sorry, I can't remember. He is, like you said, reverting back to that foundation because it was
mhm,
given to him. There were certain
mhm.
morals and values that were given to him. He just chose, like you said, not to implement it at that stage in his life. But now as an adult, you do see it. So I do think that's interesting, when you talk about that, and like I said, it's very interesting that you can be in the same home, but like I said, just have completely, totally different experiences of what's going on as a youth, as an adult, whatever from your parents. But yeah.
Yeah. I think, like, when you and I are talking and you're
Mhm.
talking about Khaled versus Yasmin,
Mhm.
the differences of they're in the same I mean, there are a couple of years difference between them, but they're in the
Mhm.
same home. they're
Mhm,
essentially receiving the same parenting.
mhm.
And I enjoy the conversations where you're telling me about how your daughter, the younger of your 2 kids, is, like, giving y'all hell.
Yes, yes,
She's doing things differently than Khaled did when he was that age, etcetera. So I
yes.
think, like, some of it is just the child's personality as well.
Absolutely, absolutely, because Yasmin, we be in prayer because I'm like, what is this? What is this? It's something she is her temperament is very different from her brother, very different. She challenges us, definitely. Yeah,
Mhm.
just yeah. Yeah. No words for that one. It's something. It's definitely something. So, as far as like discipline, do you think that people discipline anymore? Like, I feel like
Mm.
nowadays people definitely have moved away from the physical discipline, but
Yeah.
I don't know because I feel like back in the day, I feel like people was quick with the hand. You said anything, your mom was slapping your face real quick. If you got smart, they slap you down real quick.
Mhm.
But now,
Yeah.
not so much. You know what I mean? They want to talk it out. They want to negotiate. And I always say, I'm not going
I
to
feel like
negotiate with a child. But go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, I feel like, over the generations, like, as time has gone
Mhm.
by, like, you just got less and less on the discipline front because you hear about our parents and they grew up in a time where it was like, okay, anybody could slap your face off. It could be the
Yes.
neighbor down the street or whatever. Like it was that really takes a village to raise a child type mentality. If somebody saw you doing something that wasn't right, you was gonna get it from whoever saw you, not doing right. And
Period.
then when we were kids, it was like, okay, nobody else can touch you, but your parents can go ahead and put that hurting on you. And now
Mhm.
the next generation down, it's like, no, can't nobody touch nobody. Everything is abuse. Everything is abuse. Oh my God. Everybody's
That's
scared
true.
to get called on, CPS knocking on their door. And I think
Right.
it was a lot of like fear mongering about
Yes.
using physical discipline with children now.
I agree with you. And I feel like even going back to like being raised, so I feel my husband was, I feel like, raised in a stricter home where physical
Hmm.
discipline was more implemented versus me because we didn't really get beat like that. I'm not, because I know people always think like, oh my God, you're African. I know your parents were slapping you left and right. No, not really not. Like, you know what I mean? And I feel like the times if I did get slapped, it was well deserved. Like it wasn't like, oh my God, why did you do that? But
Hmm.
I always say, like, because Leslie came from a stricter environment, like growing up, I'm like, Lord, he gonna have these kids, you know what I mean? Like in a spell or something. I don't even know. But
Hmm.
I feel now, especially with Gigi, he is definitely more lenient and more gentle. I feel like
Hmm.
I'm more the disciplinarian more than he is, which I'm actually
Okay.
shocked because I feel like when Khaled first came around, I feel like he was a little bit strict and then he kind of pulled back. Like, okay, let me try like a
Uh-huh.
different way. And I do agree with you as far as like where neighbors, teachers, anyone could discipline you because he definitely came from that school of discipline where teacher discipline when you got home you was gonna get round two. If the neighbors felt like they didn't
Hmm.
appreciate it, they was gonna do round three, like, so that was
Hmm.
definitely different because obviously we never experienced anything like that, but it's just
And I'm sure
interesting.
that that had some cultural
Yeah,
aspects to it as well.
absolutely, absolutely, being in the Caribbean, absolutely,
Mhm.
it was different back in the 80s at this point, being raised during that time, sure. I also feel like vocabulary, information has evolved. There are definitely
Mm.
definitions we have now to define certain behaviors. So it's not always like, oh, the child has bad behavior. I do think we have like certain verbiage. There's tools now that are given to, parents or people who act as the role as a parent, just to handle certain behaviors with your child or whoever in like different ways. Like I always say, like with tantrums, with Gigi, we let her have her tantrums because sometimes when you try to de-escalate her tantrums, it goes to the next level. Khaled was never like
Mhm.
that. You could be like, tell him stop, like it's enough, and he would cut it out. Gigi will get louder and then like turn back and look at you to make sure, like you looking like, oh, you know what I mean? You hear me getting louder, like you know what I mean. So That one is something, but I mean, it's just interesting, but I definitely do try to use some of the tools that I do come across. I'm not gonna lie, for like people who deal with toddlers, obviously that's my children's age group. And sometimes it does work because I always said I never wanted to be the parent that was like a yeller. I do not like to yell
Mm,
because I always feel like you
mhm.
were should be able to get your point across without hollering. But
Right.
these children, like the title of this segment, they're not that gentle. So sometimes when you try to speak to them in a gentle manner, "Hey, we're not gonna throw shoes at the wall," you know what I mean, or whatever and stuff like
Mhm.
that. They don't hear you until I'm like, "Stop throwing the shoes at," you know what I mean? And then it's like, "Oh, serious. Okay, now we gotta stop throwing the
That's life
shoe."
in general.
Facts.
That's life in
Facts.
general. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta go there to get hurt.
Yes. And I'm like, see, when I was trying to be respectful and speak to you in a nice, manner, you just blew right over me like, girl, go sit down. And then when I turn into, a maniac and now I look like the crazy person, they say, ooh. And then they be always like, look at you like, ooh, like, why she yelling? Like, really? Because I just asked you like 45 times to stop doing the same thing. So that's the only thing. And then I will say though, like as far as like disciplining my children, and that's something I always talk to my husband about too. I don't discipline if I'm angry. Like if they're doing
Mm,
something up to the point of agitation, like to the point I'm like, I don't discipline them because I do feel like when you discipline your children from a state of anger, you do too much. And I don't ever want to be that. So even
yeah.
me, I'm an adult, so I know how to self-regulate. Let me take a step back. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm gonna go and then I'm gonna come back and then, deal with you. So it's not going, above and beyond like too far and things like that. Cause, they're
Yeah,
little
that's good.
people. They don't understand self-regulation quite yet. You know what I mean? So that's the other thing. Sometimes you can't match the energy.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. But, does this make you want to have kids?
Hell no.
Okay. Well,
I'm good. I am fine with auntie and godmommy status. I'm all right.
no, I feel you. I feel you. You know me. I was always supposed to be the rich auntie too, but here we are. We thank God for it. But I mean, but good topic though. Good topic. I would love to hear from non-parents as well as parents. Like you said, the aunties, godparents, whatever that is, if you're dealing with children on a day-to-day basis, like how do you handle that? Are you handling them, gently? Or, do you have to get buck with them? Let us know definitely in the comments. I'd love to hear feedback about that. All right, you guys. So we're going to roll into our next segment, Inbox Unlock. So obviously, this is a listener question. So I'm going to read this. My partner and I keep arguing about small things and it's affecting our relationship. How can we communicate better? Okay. Communication and relationships, I feel like that's like hand in hand. What are
Yeah,
your
yeah.
thoughts?
Ooh. I just feel like if you're arguing about small things, first of all, y'all gotta figure out what's underneath that. 'Cause that
Correct.
that that seems to be, I would say, I would assume, I'm speculating
Mhm.
that that is a symptom of something larger, and you're now at
Absolutely.
the point where every little thing about each other is annoying the shit out of you,
Mhm.
and it's just turning into a shit show of pettiness.
Yes. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, you guys need to be honest and transparent and open and have the uncomfortable conversation or conversations about what the
Mhm.
real problem is, because something is brewing underneath the surface.
I agree with you. I always say, like, if it's to the point where you are, going tit for tat over little things, it's absolutely a larger issue. I would say, like, I've been with my husband, like, married almost 10 years, right? And you do go through ebbs and flows where it's like, okay, I love you, but I don't necessarily like your face today. So this is where we're at. You know what I mean? And if I am irritated about something, you could wash the dishes in a certain manner and I'm irritated because I don't like the way you rub that sponge over that plate. Like, literally, like, you will nitpick every little thing because, like you
Mhm.
said, there's a larger issue brewing, obviously, you know what I mean? Because it's never that deep, right? Like, you start with, like, "Oh my god, like, look at the way he watched TV. Why he gotta watch the TV like that? Oh my god, he blinked." Like, you know what I mean? Like, with stupid stuff like that, you know what I mean? And communication is super important. I had dinner, what was it, last Friday with some really good friends. We actually went to hygiene school together and we were talking about communication. Either way, I say all that to say one of the things that we definitely said, you can communicate, but you definitely have to make sure that it's effective communication because how I communicate and explain, articulate something to somebody else, it may not be received in the way I'm trying to relay the information. So you do have to understand the person who you're speaking to, how they receive the information. Because sometimes if you're like, "Well, I told you to stop, da 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 da,"
Yeah.
they may not respond to all of that aggression, like, "Why are you
Yeah.
hollering? Now I done tuned you out. No, I'm not listening anymore." So that's not effective communication. Yes, you relayed the issue, but it's not effective, and I think that's the difference. Like, I do think you need to be honest, you need to be transparent, as you said, but make sure it's in a way that is still palatable for the person you're giving the information to, because if they can't digest it, it's like you're talking to the wall, and I feel like you're just gonna be going back to the floor. It's like, "Oh my god, you don't understand what I'm saying. I said da 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 da." You know what I mean? But that's like the main thing I would definitely say because communication is important because we have to know where one another stands, period.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not
Yeah.
gonna make it too far without proper communication.
Yes, agreed, agreed, agreed. So, I hope that little tidbits help, and maybe, you know what I mean, if it's applicable, maybe they can, see if that helps as far as within their relationship, but good luck, though.
Good luck, y'all.
All right, so we're gonna end it, with our segment, Mindset Reset. Okay, you're not grown until you know how to communicate. Apologize, be truthful, and accept accountability without blaming somebody else. The strongest version of you is buried under the habits you're afraid to break.
All right, y'all. Well, that has been episode 11. We are so glad to be back with you guys. We was on a little break, but
Yeah.
this was so needed to come back and have a conversation and just get back in our groove. I don't know about you, Si, but it feels good. Feels
No, I'm
good.
so happy to be back. And then also, I'm sorry, real quick, let me mention my voice does not sound the same. Kina made sure that I did not get on here and record because she actually was annoyed with my voice, the way it was sounding the previous days. I have allergies. I'm not sick or whatever. So it's not like I'm all over my keyboard, like spilling like nastiness. But, anyways, I have allergies and my voice is just not back to like normal. But I told Kina this might just be my new existence. This might be my
No, we're
new
not having that.
voice.
No,
So listen,
absolutely not.
let me know how you guys like the new voice, but that is just the FY that is just the FYI, just in case, like, if it didn't sound as, cute as my normal voice though, but yeah.
Get in them comments and let her know for real. Squeaky.
Great, and we appreciate the love and support and the feedback. I got really good feedback, just FYI, from my girls that I went out with to the Black Wall Hitch Place, the restaurant. We had a great time, good
Mm.
conversation. Miss you ladies. Great feedback about the podcast. We appreciate the love and support. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Kina.
All right, y'all. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know where you can find us. We're on all the socials at Just Life and Podcast. That's on TikTok. That's on Instagram. That's on Facebook. You can hit us up at our Gmail, justlifeandpodcast@gmail.com. You can drop us your questions there or in our inbox in Instagram or on our link tree where you can also be anonymous when you drop those questions. You can find our link tree link on our Instagram page. We are also on YouTube at Just Life and Podcast. Please go over there. Make sure that you check us out on all the platforms. Like, subscribe, comment, engage. We love to hear it. We love to see it. We love you guys, and we'll be back next week.
Yes,
Bye.
yes, yes. Bye-bye.